Hey everyone, Culver here. Welcome back to another video. So we have the void summoning right now for the guaranteed void Jagger, right? Many people out there might be summoning. There's a 10x as well featuring this champion Usuga, but many out there don't know that one of the best champions in the game is actually a rare void champion, and that champion is, and I'll show you, you might not expect it. It's a rare void champion, boom, by the looks of Renegade, right? Renegade is one of my favorite champions to use, and I've been using her for at least 3 years now in multiple of my teams, and I mean multiple of my teams. Every single dungeon in one time or another had Renegade in one of the teams featured. I had her in my Dragon team, my Ice Golem team, my Spider team, and my Fire Knight team as well. And if I could, I would put her in more and more teams, such as even the the Minotaur dungeon. I would even use her in there. She can be used in Doom Tower, and she can even be used on the clown boss for very specific comps. She doesn't need books, she needs books. It's a very complicated champion in the sense that you can do so many different things with this one, and it can work in multiple different ways to your benefit, right? The main reason for this is an obvious one. It's her A3 skill, Sacrificial Ritual, which decreases the cooldown of all skills by 2 turns. This skill does not affect this champion or other champions with this skill. This champion will receive damage equal to 30% and blah 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 blah. All right, you see that, you see what it really does. She is one of the few champions in the game that has a decrease of cooldowns by 2 turns for all of your allies. There's multiple other champions that do this, and of course the legendary ones have it best, being Prince Kaimar, which was featured through a 10x the last weekend, right? And then we also have a much more recent addition with Yumiko, with a 3-turn cooldown reduction plus a 3-turn cooldown increase on enemies. This is very special, but still does almost the same as Prince Kaimar, but not for those very long skills. And this also can decrease the cooldowns of other Yumiko, so you can have like an infinite kind of combo if you want to. And then you have other smaller champions, okay, that can do this with a 1-turn cooldown decrease, which it might not seem a lot, but it's still useful for making teams such as the Man-Eater team. So we have Painkeeper right here with decrease the cooldowns by 1 turn on a 4-turn cooldown. And then we have, I think it's a Demon Spawn. Countess Lex, I believe, has a 1-turn decrease as well, again at a very long cooldown of 5 turns. All right. And that being said, the reason that I find Renegade the best of them all, except for the legendaries, obviously, is because she can be used for one of the toughest dungeons, and that is the Fire Knight. The reason for this is that you can utilize this skill for a triple hitting attack plus a decreased speed, and if you manage to get her with Phantom Touch, right, the Phantom Touch, then you'll have 100% chance to inflict bonus damage, and that counts as extra damage on the Fire Knight shield, and that will be huge in terms of reducing the Fire Knight shield and getting you closer to doing 100% of your damage to the boss once his shield is down. So why am I saying she can be used without any books? Well, if you see here, I actually have another Renegade right here, a level 40 Renegade, which has books, but she's level 40. She doesn't really have a purpose here. She doesn't even have any masteries. Her sole purpose is just to do the decrease in cooldowns, and that's it. She can just die, and my team will do the rest. My team should work and do the rest as it's supposed to, and she is on purpose built with very low health and defense, so that she doesn't survive. No ring is equipped on this Renegade, so she doesn't survive, and actually makes my team run faster. But it's easier done than just me talking for the next 5 minutes and explaining what Renegade does. All right, let's go on dungeon 20. This is an easier showcase of dungeon 20, where you can utilize a damage combo, right? Let's say you have a Cold Heart, let's say you have a Royal Guard here, and a defense down champion. I have here my Ghostborn, since he's very fast with this set, is just to guarantee the defense down as well. And let's say we have something to control the small spiders when they come up. If you don't have books on your champions, a good way to almost guarantee that your skills land, such as an HP burn or a freeze, if you don't have the 100% chance to actually freeze them from all the books, let's say you just have the 70% chance, a good way to ensure that you freeze them is to basically reduce that cooldown to the lowest point, and that is using Renegade. Once you reduce the cooldown, you have another chance to go again with that skill, and hopefully the enemies can be frozen again and have more control over the bad RNG that you might have throughout the fight. Obviously, when you're not fully booked out, the 70% can happen multiple times, so RNG will not be in your favor for 100% of the runs, but Renegade helps with RNG a lot because of that reduction in cooldowns, and helps mitigate the fact that you might not have the perfect year. You might not have a defense down weekend champion, and she's like a multiplier in terms of what you have available. So you see here, we do more than half of the boss's damage. We managed to freeze a few of the spiralings. Obviously with Royal Guard, this is not really an easy combo to do, but you'll see here that we don't have our cooldowns, but Renegade did her job. She did the reset of 2 turns, and we keep the spiralings either frozen or dead, which is perfect. And now boom, Cold Heart does her A3 skill again, and we get the kill. If she didn't have enough damage, Royal Guard would have had his A2 available and pretty much ensured our win. But my Cold Heart is built very, very strong, and you saw on how much potential you can get out of your champions with doing what 2 Cold Hearts and 2 Royal Guards would have done just because of Renegade. And I did mention I use her in other dungeons as well, all right? You saw Renegade didn't need to get another 10. She didn't need to be, tanky, and I used the level 41. Here, for Dragon Dungeon, I'll show you the level 60 Renegade. I have 2 of them, as I've mentioned. The level 60 Renegade works in the sense of also giving my team a little bit more damage, and also having the shield set, which helps Seer, all right? The little bit damage that Renegade has won't really affect the fight, but when you're pushing endgame and you want to get the best team possible and the fastest team possible, right? You want to have, the best damage possible on all of your 5 champions going into a fight. Or you go in with a very slow Renegade so that you have her die immediately from the dragon, and that will ensure that just 4 champions will be taking turns instead of the Renegade. But for me here, as an example, I want Renegade to possibly get another turn and reduce the cooldowns, and that will help me a little bit. But boom, we get the turn, we go on to the boss, 26 seconds, and this is, a Seer combo, all right? You get your poisoner to the end. It can be, Battle Khazar, it can be, Frozen Banshee, Ninja, any poisoner, any heavy HP burn champion, and they will do the work and actually take out the boss. But here you see Acrisia and how overpowered she is, and takes out the boss with a very solid run at 47 seconds. If I didn't have Acrisia, it would have been probably like a minute 20, a minute 10 with just, a poison setup right there. But you see what the utility is there with no books, just the requirement to do that A3. You get the full benefit of that, of Renegade, and actually reducing your time in there. And I have another team here, which I use for Ice Golem, and I use 2 champions. I use my Prince Kaimar and the Renegade in there. I could have used my other Prince Kaimar right now, but I still use Renegade because, well, she does kind of the same thing. I don't really need that extra reset. At least before I had the second Prince Kaimar, I didn't really need the second full reset. I could have used my Yumiko, but now that I have my Prince Kaimar, I might upgrade and still go with the better team. But even with this, you'll see now Renegade taking her own turn here with the A3, boom, reducing the cooldown, and we'll get a rotation going a little bit here, and boom, there it is. And the reason for that is I had my speeds very specific, with Renegade being at the beginning faster than Seer, and then after a little while she becomes slower than Seer, and in that way allows Seer to take a turn before Renegade and get the A2, and then the cooldown reduction comes, and basically Seer has her A3 available again. So yeah, this is like an example of my Ice Golem team, which you let your Battle Khazar survive. The poisons do a lot of work there. The heal over time, the resistance he has, the amount of health that he has, basically allows him to survive and take out the boss in a minute 10 with a pretty safe setup, I would say. Faster setups obviously have other champions, but this one is a pretty solid one to farm the Ice Golem, and it can be faster depending on how you set up the team. But you already see on how big of a potential Renegade can give to your team. The only reason that I have this Renegade, this level 60 fully ascended, was for my Fire Knight team, which I used in the past. I don't use that anymore, so I probably don't have something set up, but I guess I could use something like this right now and showcase it to you guys. So going into the Fire Knight with the Renegade, you can see the potential right there because of that multi-hit that she has, and also the decreased speed, which enables your team to actually not require as much speed anymore because it reduces the speed of the boss by 15%. It's not the biggest decreased speed that you can apply on a boss, but it's still something very useful, plus the multi-hit, plus the phantom touch that you can get on a rare champion, and the fact that rare champions need way less resource to get their awakening higher and higher. You can even get this to a 6-star for that 35% extra chance for a double hit, and actually get your runs way quicker. And now you'll see the run in full action. Of course, you need good gear to make the exact same thing that I'm doing right now, but it's how this game works, right? You need good gear to get the fastest times. And here I couldn't even push through this final minion right there, because usually I use my cold heart in this team, but now I'm making a showcase of Renegade as well, and we're having some issues with that last one, but it's still fast. I mean, 23 seconds to reach the boss, it's still very nice, and Renegade should be able to get a turn and actually do the multi-hit, hopefully getting this shield down. She'll do the multi-hit now. That says 5 there, but that's actually much lower because of phantom touch and how it works. And now the cooldown reduction plus stacking with Yumiko will come into play, and that will be just huge here. Boom, there it is. We get the cooldowns reduced, and we do our big burst with both Karma Burn and with a Crazy Eye right there. We should be able to get the kill here. Boom, we even get an extra turn, and we take it out. And you saw there, the decreased speed also is very crucial. The only Terminator control that I had was a Crazy Eye and Yumiko's A1. All the other skills that I had was through masteries on my champion. So such a big champion with being a rare, it's crazy to ignore. So definitely, if you get your hands on one of these, if you get your hands on, I went over to Dark Elves, I was confused with Painkeeper, but if you get your hands on Renegade, definitely keep an eye on her, get multiple copies of her. You will not regret not feeding her. All right, just use rare skill books. That's much better than sacrificing copies of Renegade. That is my honest recommendation. She's a fantastic champion, and I love using her in teams whenever I'm on an account. It definitely helps multiply the damage potential of your team, just because of this very simple skill that doesn't even need books to actually get the full benefit of it. So this was the video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.